Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahabushai, Bahasham, Rakahak Wadash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahabushai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who ruled and teach well. In peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya with another video, and I'm going to start it off in Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 4. Behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him, speaking of the biblical Edomite, or the so-called white man, who is the wicked in the Bible, the wicked whom the earth has been given into the hands of in Job chapter 9, verse 24, and the border of wickedness in Malachi 1, verse 4. And what does it say in Psalms chapter 58, verse 3? The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go forth speaking lies as soon as they be born. So you Edomites were created to be the wicked from the very womb, to do everything completely contrary to righteousness, to do everything contrary to the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bahasham Yahawashi. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. And the just are you Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, the sons of God who have that righteous spirit in you. But right now, the just of the Israelites that are living by their faith are the elect of the nation of Israel. Verse 5, yeah, also because he transgresseth by wine, and that wine is going into his philosophies that he pushes out, which he completely transgresses by and deceives the people with. Feminism, democracy, capitalism, socialism, communism, all these isms go back to Edomites. And of course, we can't forget the alphabet group beginning with LG. He is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell. And just look at the planet. You've got Edomites in all the choice places of the planet with their hands in all the natural resource trades. And then the United States of America, the stronghold of the Edomites, has around 800 and something military bases all across the planet. And whenever anything happens, conflicts or new natural resources found, what these Edomites, whether Americans or Europeans, always show up and try to show themselves as the good guys. We're coming to help. We're coming to bring democracy. We're coming to give women's rights. But then what happens? Those nations become puppets to the West. Hey, their women become whores. Broken families come. McDonald's shows up. It just becomes a nightmare. Third world shitholes. Hey, but at least they've got freedom, right? Who enlargeth his desire as hell and as death, and cannot be satisfied. Even though these Edomites have gained, control of most of the planet in this little season of their final rulership, which began with the Renaissance, these Edomites, beginning with their elites, want more. They want your very souls. They want you to know what you're thinking and want you on a grid, so that they just have complete control over you. Who enlargeth his desire as hell and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. And what does that sound like? A one world order, a one world government, one world religion, one world currency, etc., etc. And who is the face behind these people pushing these one united world agendas? Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, again beginning with their elites, like the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the DuPonts, the Gettys, the Oppenheimers, the Aldriches, the Carnegies, the list goes on. And they use their front companies to do so. The United Nations, the G20, the United States of America, etc., etc. And that's what I'll be going into with this video. This is a video from the Jimmy Dore Show's YouTube channel titled, "This is Bad, Digital Currency Announced at G20 Summit." And let's see what the G20 Summit is. The G20, or Group of 20, is an intergovernmental forum comprising 19 sovereign countries, the European Union, and the African Union. It works to address major issues related to the global planetary economy, such as international financial stability, climate course correction, mitigation, and sustained development. Here we got an image, some of the nations involved. What do you see? Flags of different nations, but flags of a lot of Edomite nations. So the G20 summit deals with global issues and how to steer the world in the direction that they so-called think is best. Just an example of Esau, Edom, being in control of this planet, and what? Heaping and gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people, so he can get the planet drunk off of his wines or philosophies, bringing about this NW0, this GREATRESET, the fourth industrial revolution, which is going to be a digital prison with what? Digital IDs, digital currencies, and like I said earlier, having you on a grid where he knows your thoughts, he knows everything about you, how long it takes you to take a shit, what you eat, everything. So he can control every aspect of your life, and you won't be able to do so much as blink without getting the go-ahead to do so. But as we go into the first, 7 minutes or so of this clip, you're going to see how Esau, Edom, beginning with the elites, has set up this system to get you people locked into it to where there will be no escape from it. And this is a fair use copyright disclaimer. I do not own any of the footage in this clip, nor do I stand to gain from it monetarily. It is simply for educational purposes.
They had a meeting of the G20 countries and in India, and digital currencies it's coming. The G20
and don't be fooled just because it was had in India. A lot of the heads of these different countries outside of Edomite countries rub shoulders with the elites and are on board with bringing about this NW0, this GR agenda. Hence why you're hearing a lot of them having the same talking points as the so-called Western world.
Announces plan for digital currency and digital IDs. The conspiracy theorists were right again. And here we want to watch it. So
digital currencies and digital IDs. And that digital ID is going to be that RFID/NFC MICROCHIPIMPLANT, which is the MARKOFTHEBEAST in Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 to 18, which we will get into in a little bit.
Watch.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Spiro with breaking news. The G20 just officially announced they are launching a plan for a global framework for digital currencies and digital IDs.
Global framework, gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Hey, his desire is as hell and as death, neither keepeth he at home.
Watch.
Laying the building blocks for a globally coordinated and comprehensive policy and regulatory framework for crypto assets. The global push for clearer policies on crypto assets has gained momentum under the Indian presidency, and a global consensus is emerging on the same. The presidency will support the IMF and the FSB, and FSB is also setting the contours of the regulatory framework for a globally coordinated approach to crypto assets. So the presidency, with the support of IMF and the FSB, is setting these contours. The IMF and FSB synthesis paper.
So if this is coming from the
And the IMF is what? The International Monetary Fund. And just look at all the countries that the West has gone to war with in the past. Hey, they didn't have an IMF bank before, but now they do have an IMF bank. Hey, these elites using their entities to put their tentacles into these other countries and get them in line and on board with that ultimate agenda, that NW0.
IMF, which is called that's an International Monetary Fund. What is the FSB? Do you know what that is? The FSB? Can you Google it? What is it? FSB. But I'm going to let you know if this is coming from the IMF, it's not good.
Our loan sharking branch of our global empire?
Because that's what the IMF is. The IMF goes and makes these loans to small countries that they know they can't pay back, and when they can't, the IMF then privatizes their natural resources and their public spaces. And so that's another way to steal their land, and you do it through, we're going to help you with a loan. So now the IMF is on board with, they're the ones pushing this. So this is another way to impoverish you and control you. Digital currency is not your friend. And I'm not talking about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is actually the antidote to this, because the government.
That's not the antidote to it. Bitcoin and these other cryptocurrencies were just a Trojan horse to give you people the illusion that there's another option out here. These are all just what? Psychologically and subconsciously preparing you for the rollout of these CBDCs, these central bank digital currencies, because now that these different governments and regulators are seriously considering rolling out these CBDCs, and what? A lot of these instant payment systems are being set up like FedNow. Now there are regulations and laws and penalties being put on, these so-called independent cryptocurrencies to get them out of the way. Hey, it's just like voting. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican. They're all friends behind the scenes and playing for the same team. There is no choice, just the illusion of choice to keep you people divided and more easily controllable. That old term, divide and conquer. They're the same, wings on that bird. Hey, the two horns like a lamb on that dragon in Revelation chapter 13.
It can't control Bitcoin. It's a blockchain. But the government can control digital currency, just like they did with the truckers, and they can shut down your bank accounts. So now you can't move, you can't do anything, you can't even pay your rent or buy gas or anything. Do you know what the FSB is?
And if you've noticed, a lot of these people that have, started these cryptocurrencies or alternative payment platforms, they have what? Mysteriously disappeared or ended up dead, a suicide by gunshot to the back of the head.
Federal Security Service. That sounds like the FSS.
Bureau.
Financial Stability Board sounds more like it.
If they go to a crypto, a digital global crypto, would that mean that they don't have to worry about?
That's not crypto. Digital is not crypto.
Oh, I'm sorry. Digital currency.
Right.
Would that mean that they don't? Because crypto is just not really based on any kind of. They don't need the petrodollar anymore because now they have that kind of.
Digital is not crypto, but wait, isn't cryptocurrency, a digital token you use on the internet? Hey.
Control where they can just say the value is whatever they say.
That's a good question.
And then BRICS doesn't matter.
That's interesting. Let's see.
About which I've spoken to the media earlier, including a roadmap. On that, I just want to give my observation. This synthesis paper delves into how the policy and regulatory frameworks developed by the IMF and the FSB, alongside the other standard-setting bodies, will fit together and interact with each other This paper is now available in the public domain for all of you all to see.
Now, crypto was initially portrayed as a way to decouple from the central banks and to provide a layer of anonymity, just like using cash, right? But that's not what this is at all. In fact, it's quite the opposite.
Yes.
This is about the rollout of central bank digital currencies,
Right.
or CBDCs. Now, the central banks have been working on this for quite a long time, and they have been partnering with governments and private corporations to usher this in. It kind of sounds like fascism, right?
Yes.
But what does it mean? Well, we've already witnessed how the central banks have been using a debt-based system to essentially enslave entire nations, and soon they'll have the ability to monitor, regulate, and tax you into submission in every way imaginable. And before you know it, you'll be eating bugs and driving electric cars. Or at least that's their plan if they get their way. Another example, didn't get your latest booster shot? Sorry, your account's been restricted until you comply. And at this point, we can start to see how the climate lockdowns don't seem too far-fetched after all, because we're witnessing the foundation of the social credit system being rolled out right now before our eyes. And if this sounds extreme, it's because it is. Just like the lockdowns and mandates that we just went through were extreme. And this agenda will maximize compliance on the next go-around. Now, what the social engineers are rolling out is called a digital panopticon, or a digital prison. This is where the digital IDs come into play.
You won't be able to do anything in society unless you're playing ball and have that digital ID, that C-hip in you. This is Revelation chapter 13. I'm going to start at verse 16. And he calls a thaw, that he, being the elite rulers of the planet right now, Edomites such as the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, everyone in society, everyone on the grid, to receive a MARK, a charagma in their right hand or in their foreheads, that C-hip. And we can clearly see that you've got companies out here like Walletmore and that Swedish company that have charagmas that people have in their hands that they can use for banking, as well as have their C019 IDs on them, and with their foreheads, Elon Musk, Neuralink, or Synchron. Verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell, or get a job, travel abroad, buy a house, do anything, save he that had the charagma, or the name of the BEAST, or the number of his name. As I believe that guy's name is Spiro, that Jimmy Dore was showing a clip from, just said, it's going to be a digital panopticon to where everybody is going to be locked on this grid. And if you do anything against the system, hey, you will be heavily restricted in it. And also, what are they going to tie to it? That Chinese style social credit score, where if you say something out of line against the government online, or you make purchases deemed suspicious, they'll just shut off the use of your digital ID, your charagma, and hey, you'll be asked out there. Or with the carbon tax credit, you buy too much meat, or you use too much gas to travel abroad from your 15-minute city. Hey, they cut off your funds until your carbon tax credit recycles to the next week or month, or however the system's going to be set up. But let's jump up to verse 15. And he, again, speaking of the elites, had power to give life unto the image of the BEAST. The image of the BEAST being the financial, political, and military aspects of this B system we're currently living in. The last leg of the fourth B in Daniel chapter 2, those iron toes mixed with miry clay, the reincarnated Roman Empire, the NATO-EU alliance that the U.S. is a part of, that the image of the B should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the B, go along with the system or its dictates, should be killed. On the one hand, you're going to be killed, let's say, reputationally, by being X'd out of society, being seen as a pariah, being on the outskirts because you weren't deemed a compliant citizen, so your access to society has been restricted. And then on the other hand, it will get to a point with these mandatory implementations, which are coming, of the CHIP, that people will be faced with being put to death for not receiving that digital ID, that charagma. We are coming into some very serious times out here. And as we're seeing from this clip, hey, it's only getting faster and faster with each day.
The third one, which I'd like to draw your attention to, is the financial inclusion and productivity gains through digital public infrastructure. India, as you all are aware, through the India Stack, became the first country to develop all three foundational DPIs: the digital identity, the real-time fast payment, and a platform to safely share personal data without compromising privacy. So,
Personal. So India's doing all three of them, and the last one is and a way to safely and securely share personal data. That means like your government ID and all your data. Your medical records, probably your social security, all that stuff is going to be on your digital ID.
Your biometrics. Let's get it. Let's go to that word charagma in the Strongs. What does it say? A stamp and imprinted mark of a charagma stamped on the forehead or the right hand as the badge of the followers of the Antichrist, which the Antichrist isn't a singular person. It's a spirit out here, a spirit of rebellion towards the ways of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, which this Edomite pushes that spirit out there. And that imprinted mark, I keep saying the word, that imprinted charagma is that C-hip. Now let's go to the root word, which is G5482, harax. What does it say in the root word for that? From harasso, to sharpen to a point, akin to G1125, through the idea of scratching, scratching in your skin with that syringe to put that haragma in you. Now let's go to the root for that. G1125, grapho, which reads to write with reference to the form of the letters, to delineate or form letters on a tablet, parchment, paper, or other material, to commit to writing things not to be forgotten, like what? Your biometrics, your banking information, your governmental information, your medical information. Write down, record digitally on that ID.
That's what they're doing.
I like to think of the government as a friendly
Let's pull it
bathroom
back a little
attendant.
bit.
And the last one is and a way to safely and securely share personal data. That means like your government ID and all your data. Your medical records, probably your social security, all that stuff is going to be on your digital ID. That's what they're doing.
I like to think
Your
of
grapho on
the
your
government as a
haragma.
friendly bathroom attendant. You know how happy you are to have a person in there while you share.
did this concept in the G20 financial inclusion agenda by formulating G20 policy recommendations for advancing financial inclusion and productivity gains through digital public infrastructure.
Financial inclusion through digital public infrastructure.
Yeah.
It all sounds great. Doesn't
That
it sound
they may neither
nice?
buy nor
It's not
sell.
what it really is this digital way to control every aspect of your life, and don't you ever get out of line until anything that goes against the global capitalists, or else we'll shut you down and we'll make you a non-person. I think I read about that in some book or something about being
And those that would not worship the image of the bee should be killed.
being turned into a non-person like that at the flip of a switch, because that's what we're going towards. And they have already predicted this decades ago in books. And here it is. They're going to turn you into a non-person if you go against the global elite capitalists. That's what this is, and that's where this is coming from.
And what it is, Jimmy, it's a centralized digital currency where the government will control it from behind. Not unlike Bitcoin, which is decentralized,
That's right.
where they can't control it.
Doesn't
and what they're
matter.
planning on doing is hooking your finances to this digital ID. So if you travel somewhere, it's a digital passport that you're not allowed to go to. They can just withhold your money and shut it off at any time.
That's right.
They can look at your social media. We don't like what you said, Kurt. We're going to shut it off. That's the whole plan for this. And these are BRICS countries that are inside the G20 too. So it's not like it's a multipolar kind of situation.
Yeah,
It's
right.
the whole freaking world. That's
And he causeth all, and gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people.
Companies
involved
go
with this.
buy these Indian politicians. I mean, India's like Bill Gates is a big fan, isn't he?
Yeah.
Like,
The fact they're announcing it now means they're about ready to roll it out. And once we go down this road, I'm not sure we can come back. The G20 announcement also coincides with what I believe Elon Musk has planned for X.
Point blank, period. The fact that they're announcing it means they're about to roll it out, and there's no going back. And there is no going back until this system is destroyed and the new system is set up. The kingdom of heaven under the children of Israel. But that's it with this clip. Let's close it out. Back in Habakkuk chapter 2, start at verse 1. I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and I will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And the men of the Lord, the prophets of the Most High, chiefly through GMS or GMS, Great Millstone, as well as the brothers that come in the spirit of GMS, are standing upon their watch, watching the news like this and reading the scriptures and filtering the news through the scriptures. And as it's about to say in verse 2, and Yahweh answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon the tables, going out onto the highways and byways preaching this word, as well as putting up video epistles like this, that he may run that readeth it. When the elect of the nation of Israel hear the words of the prophets, hey, they see what times they're living in, and they're getting themselves correct accordingly, so that they can stay in the good graces of their power, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, and be saved from these calamities of Jacob's trouble. Verse 3, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. And it's been seeming like for the longest time that these prophecies have been tarrying, but we are living in the times of their fulfillment, where they're no longer tarrying. They are at the door. Let's play what Spiro said one more time.
freaking
but don't a
world
lot
that's
of
getting
companies
involved
go
with this.
buy these Indian politicians. I mean, India's like Bill Gates is a big fan, isn't
Yeah.
he? Like,
The fact they're announcing it now means they're about ready to roll it out. And once we go down this road, I'm not sure we can come back. The G20
Though it tarry, wait for it shall surely come. It will not tarry. So that's it with this video. And with this video, I hope you sincere Akim and Akwath were edified. Just keep strong. We are clearly almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babol, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shalom.